Imagine a forest once alive with the sound of rustling leaves and birdsong, now silenced by flame. Charred branches claw toward the sky like broken fingers, and beneath them walks a creature who has lost not just her home, but her heart. This is the story of Lyra, a mother hyena whose world was reduced to ash. The wildfire spared her body, but it devoured everything else, her cubs, her den, her purpose. Each paw step on the scorched soil echoed with the ghosts of what she had once protected. Her cries were not howls but silent wounds stitched into the air, and yet the world kept spinning. The sun still rose over the blackened hills, casting a cruel light on the ruins of her motherhood. Still, Lyra walked not seeking food, not searching for safety. She wandered with a desperate ache, as if her soul were reaching for something unseen. And in the stillness of that death-born silence, something stirred. A whisper of life. He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. Through smoke and soot, Lyra's nose caught a scent, fragile, unfamiliar, alive. Her steps quickened. Beneath a twisted tree limb, curled in the ash like a fallen star, was a tiny newborn gorilla, alone, cold, barely breathing. Coco, nature's rule, said she was prey. But something deeper cried out within Lyra, something older than hunger. It was the sacred cry of motherhood, reawakening in the void. The predator hesitated. Her powerful jaws, made for the kill, opened not with violence, but with grace. She lifted the infant not like a hunter, but like a midwife of hope. The image defied everything the wild had written, a hyena cradling a gorilla. Her movement was slow, gentle, deliberate, as if the fire had burned away not just the forest, but the instinct to destroy. This wasn't just an animal rescue. This was a spiritual rebirth, a wild miracle in the ashes. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things, but love in the wild comes at a price. Lyra returned to her clan with Coco in her jaws. Not as prey, but as kin. The reaction was immediate. Snarls, suspicion, rejection. The scent of a gorilla cub, so alien, so wrong to them, shattered the fragile balance of their group. Hyenas live in packs ruled by strict codes. Survival demands unity. Anything that threatens that is cast out. Lyra was banished, a mother again, but without a tribe. She didn't fight it. She simply turned and walked into exile, carrying her fragile treasure close to her heart. The forest had burned her world once. Now it would test her soul. But motherhood had already rewritten her identity. Each day she scavenged food fit for the infant. Each night she curled around Coco, shielding her from cold, from fear, from loneliness. And when danger approached, the growls of her former kin in the distance, Lyra stood her ground. Not with fangs, but with fierce silence and steady eyes. In those moments, she was more than a hyena. She was the embodiment of sacred motherhood. Greater love hath no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friend. Yet the wild has watchers, eyes that protect from a distance. Maya, a young wildlife ranger with a soul tethered to the forest, had seen Lyra before, but nothing prepared her for what she witnessed one misty dawn. There, at the gates of the ranger station, Lyra emerged from the trees, her eyes weary but unwavering. In her jaws, she gently placed Coco onto the ground. Then, without sound or hesitation, she turned away. A ghost slipping into the fog. It wasn't abandonment. It was a mother's final offering, a gesture of trust and surrender. Maya froze. In all her years among animals, she had never seen anything like this. She knelt beside the tiny gorilla, eyes fluttering, chest rising faintly, and felt tears spring to her eyes. This wasn't just survival, this was divine intervention. A moment that rewrote the rules of species, instinct, and wilderness. Maya scooped Coco into her arms with reverence. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. The sanctuary became Coco's new world. Maya poured every drop of her love into the care of the infant gorilla, formula, warmth, comfort, protection. But even as Coco's strength returned, there remained something unexplainable in her eyes. A longing, a memory. Maya could feel it, this baby had already known the heartbeat of a mother. And it beat with 4 legs and a spotted coat. Maya never forgot Lyra, and somehow Lyra never left. Days passed, then weeks. And slowly, quietly, shadows began to move at the sanctuary's edge. At first, Maya thought it was coincidence. But each morning she noticed it, a silhouette in the mist, watching, waiting, never close, never threatening. Just present. Lyra, her loyalty had not burned with the forest. It had taken root somewhere deeper. She was still watching over Coco, and Maya understood. Even the sparrow has found a home, and the swallow a nest for herself, a place near your altar. Maya didn't try to lure her, she didn't trap or cage. She simply began placing food near the boundary. She'd speak softly, into the trees, not expecting an answer but offering connection. Over time, the distance shrank. Lyra never crossed into the human space, not fully, but she came closer. And Coco, growing stronger each day, would sometimes glance toward the woods and coo, as if recognizing the unseen guardian beyond the trees. Maya's heart ached with both joy and sorrow. Because this bond between them, woman, hyena, gorilla, wasn't just strange. It was sacred, the kind of story too tender for textbooks. Too wild for fairy tales, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. One day, Maya found Coco at the fence, small hand reaching outward. Across the gap, Lyra stood. Motionless, their eyes met, no words, no growls, no sounds. Just the stillness of 2 hearts, one wild, one young, recognizing something eternal. Maya stood behind them, tears tracing her cheeks, feeling the forest breathe around her. This was the true meaning of animal connection. This was not a rescue. It was resurrection. The wolf will live with the lamb, and a little child shall lead them, and so the story lives on, not in books, not in myths, but in every trembling leaf, every morning mist, every heartbeat that dares to love beyond species. Lyra the hyena, Coco the gorilla, Maya the ranger. 3 souls bound not by blood, but by a love that changed everything. This wasn't just survival, it was a miracle. A story to shake the soul. A bond that no fire could burn. In the sanctuary, where the air was gentler and the wounds of the wild began to fade into something softer, Maya embarked on a new mission, not just the survival of Coco, but the quiet rebuilding of a sacred bond. She understood that the threads of love are not easily severed, even by distance, even by species. So she began weaving them again, slowly, delicately, like a mother stitching memory into a child's blanket. Maya placed objects near Coco that carried Lyra's scent, fur caught on branches, earth soaked in her trail, even the remains of a bone she once gnawed in solitude. These weren't mere items. They were echoes of a heartbeat that had once protected Coco when the world was burning. And Coco, young yet filled with the ancient instinct of recognition, began to respond. Her small fingers would trace the hyena-scented stones. Her eyes would linger longer in the direction of the forest. Something in her remembered what most would call impossible. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Maya ensured Lyra was never made to feel like a threat. She placed food discreetly at the sanctuary's edge and monitored the invisible lines of comfort with the precision of someone who spoke the wild's silent language. Over time, Lyra would emerge, not daily, not predictably, but with the kind of rhythm only a grieving heart knows. Each time she came, she stood a little closer, her presence heavy with longing and restraint. She never pushed forward, never barked or snarled, just waited. And then, one afternoon when the sun poured gold over the sanctuary and Coco was playing under Maya's gentle watch, the world held its breath. From the shadows of the surrounding trees, Lyra stepped forward, not as a hunter. Not even as a mother claiming a child, but as something holier? A guardian. A witness to the miracle she had birthed in the ashes. Coco stopped playing. Her eyes, still soft with innocence, still wide with wonder, locked onto the silhouette she had not seen in weeks, maybe months. Lyra stood still, no growl, no Howl, just silence, a silence that felt like prayer. She lowered her head, a subtle, sacred bow, the kind that says, "I remember you. I never forgot." And Coco, with the tremble of recognition in her small chest, let out a sound, not a cry, not a scream, but something gentler, like the echo of a lullaby remembered from a dream. "The Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth." From that day forward, their meetings became a ritual. Under Maya's vigilant gaze, Lyra would return, sometimes watching for hours, sometimes just a few minutes, always staying at a distance that respected the world Coco had come to know. And Coco never tried to run to her, never reached past the invisible line between sanctuary and forest. It was as if both knew that love didn't always require touch. Sometimes it only required presence. This was no longer the frantic love of survival. It had transformed into something rarer, a bond rooted in sacrifice, sustained by trust, and deepened by acceptance. Lyra never tried to reclaim Coco, and Coco never tried to leave. Their relationship became the living embodiment of a lesson most humans still struggle to learn. Love is not about possession. It is about presence. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Coco thrived. Under Maya's nurturing care, she grew strong, playful, curious. Her laughter returned, her spirit bloomed. And every milestone, every first step, every new sound, every playful swing from a low-hanging branch was an echo of Lyra's sacrifice. Maya never forgot that. She wasn't just a caretaker. She was a storyteller. A torchbearer of a love story that defied nature's rules and rewrote the laws of the wild. Whenever visitors came to the sanctuary, Maya would lead them to Coco's enclosure and begin, not with science, not with facts, but with the tale of the fire, the ashes, the predator turned protector. She would speak of a hyena who gave up her world to save a child who wasn't hers. She would describe how Lyra stood in the shadows even now, a silent sentinel, her gaze always fixed on the one life she rescued, not with fangs, but with love, the righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. Maya's voice would tremble at the end of every telling. Because this story wasn't just about animals, it was about all of us. About the invisible lines we draw between species, between tribes, between who belongs and who doesn't, and how, sometimes, one act of love is enough to erase them all. The story of Lyra and Coco didn't just touch hearts. It changed them. People left the sanctuary seeing the world differently. Not just through the lens of predator and prey, but through the possibility that compassion could rewrite destiny. And now Coco stands tall, no longer the trembling infant cradled in jaws of survival, but a living testament to the power of wild motherhood and human kindness. Maya continues her mission, not just to protect but to illuminate. Every time she shares Lyra's story, she lights a flame in the hearts of those who thought animals were only beasts, only instinct, only biology. She shows them otherwise. She shows them the truth. Do not forget to show hospitality to strangers, for by so doing some have entertained angels without knowing it. If this story stirred something in your soul, if Lyra and Coco's bond reminded you that love breaks every boundary, then this is your invitation. Join us, subscribe to our channel. We tell the stories that the world needs right now, of survival, of miracles, of the sacred bond between human and animal, of what happens when we choose love over fear. Tap the bell, let the next adventure find you. Because somewhere out there another animal is calling. Will you answer?